Hello everyone, and welcome back to Sovereign Gaming. My name is Michael, and today we are diving back into the world of SimCity, or at least the world that I created, and we are going to be tackling a sewage plant this time. Now I know what you're thinking, there's never been a sewage plant ever really built before, like they don't even function, and I agree with you, sewage plants actually really don't function. But I really wanted to add something additional into the port that would really just kind of make it come alive. I want to ask some questions about SimCity and how it functions. And one of the questions that I wanted to ask was water treatment and sewage treatment, I suppose, and how that comes about to be. Now, I could have made it a community lot and just had it categorized as no visitors allowed, but I actually decided to have this one categorized as a junkyard because I kind of feel like a junkyard would actually be fitting for the sewage plant that we're going to build today. So I wanted that function in there, and I didn't want to just create like a dummy lot, for example. So that's why I chose the direction that I chose for this one, is that I felt that not only do sewage plants and water treatment plants exist near industrial ports, or at least to my knowledge they do, but I also wanted Sims to actually engage with the lot and interact with the community lot out in the city. And for me, the function that made the most sense in this case was to categorize it as a junkyard. To convey the sewage plant look and feel, I really used a combination of some of the into the future tankers as well as the fountain functions as well. So I'm just changing the colors on here, and I figured that having it as different colors kind of shows the different processes of actually trading water that's being used in the city. So that's why I decided the color scheme that I was going for. And yes, like, it's a lot of grays, it's a lot of browns, it's a lot of dirt and grime and all that, which are all things that I really enjoy working with for an industrial build. It makes the most sense. And as a water treatment or sewage treatment plant, those colors are going to be what dominates. But yeah, I really love the storage tanks or storage cylinders or whatever they're really called in the game from Into the Future, just because those really speak a lot to what's going on. And they stand out as well when you zoom out and actually look at the world. And even when I hop into the next Create a World episode, which will be the next SimCity build episode, I suppose that's going to be popping up as another episode based on Create a World. But anyways, when you zoom out, you can actually see those kind of storage tanks from Into the Future, which is something that I really loved. I'm not a huge fan that they are the color white, but you can't change the color of them, so it was just something that I was kind of having to work with. And it was kind of also another reason why I decided to go with the cement shoe factory as the criminal hideout, because it did have some oil storage tanks designed right into the asset, so it kind of matches. But the white does stand out, and I know that, and there's no way to change the colors on those. Otherwise, I would have loved to have just made it like a little rusty or more gray, like a darker color. But, you know, I'm kind of getting ahead of myself here, and yeah, that's, they're still assets that I love, and they look really great when we zoom out and look at the entire SimCity region. And I feel like they're just going to pop even more as we continue to build the region. In this shot, I'm just building an elevated path or an elevated gangway, like something that's made out of metal. I don't think that I capture it entirely, like I'm not super impressed by it, if I'm going to be honest with you guys, but I think it gets the job done, and my builds are never really that perfect, and I'm sure that there are lots of tweaks and all that, or maybe the best option is really just to remove it entirely, but it's being kept there and it's going to stay there for a while. And the reason why it's going to stay there is actually because I can no longer use the editing game mode in the Sims 3 Create a World tool, since I had downloaded some store objects after I had installed everything. And so because that doesn't really play nice, the lot is going to have to remain unchanged as it is. Way down further the line, I'll probably have to do an entire couple of episodes dedicated to feedback on my lots when I actually get a chance to upload or export the world into the game. And that's neither here nor there. So yeah, this is going to be just to make it clear, now that I think about it, this is going to be the second of 4 lots that I end up building here. And before we move on to the next set of 2 lots that I end up building, we're going to have to make a trip back into the Create a World, because there's just like so many more things that I need to do with the port area. And I wanted to just kind of put these lots in here just to get that look, get that feel, and to really drive home that it's an industrial part of the SimCity region. The idea behind the elevated path is that, again, I am not an expert when it comes to water treatment, but I imagine that there are workers that actually need to see what's going on in the pools, if that makes any sense. Like, I imagine that they would have to be testing the water, or seeing if there are any like floating objects or debris or anything of the sort. So that's really the purpose why I created this elevated gangway to begin with. However, you know, the more I look at it, the more I'm still kind of iffy on it. So again, just feel free to leave a comment on how you feel about this elevated gangway. It might just be one of those things where too much is just too much, and I was just doing too much with it, and it just needs to be that one piece that I need to remove in order to make the region pop, or sorry, to make the lot really pop in the world. I'm sure you've already noticed, but I have continued the rustic chain link fence from the previous criminal hideout cement factory build. And that was, again, something that I mentioned before, but it's one of the common design themes that I really wanted to tie together within the port area. Again, the purpose of creating these specific neighborhoods is really to give them a specific style and architectural design to them, really. So when you're playing the SimCity world, not every neighborhood is going to feel the same. Like Old Town, like I mentioned before, is going to feel very different than downtown or even the port. And so in order to actually convey that these are all part of one area, what I've really done is I have created that certain themes that all go together. Now that I think about it, maybe I should have chosen a different color scheme that would actually fit these into the future container ports a little bit better, but but you know, it's a little too late for that now. But yeah, the sidewalk is another thing that I felt was very important, is giving that concrete padding in here, even though I painted it in the Create a World with a concrete overlay already, or a concrete texture. An asphalt texture. I wanted to actually paint it again with the sidewalk texture that you see here. And I just felt like it was a better gray color that I wanted. And yeah, that was one of the elements that I feel ties the port together with the other lots that you'll see build throughout the series. Another design choice that I want to make in the port is I really want to convey that it is a higher security area. So you're going to see quite frequently that there are these little security booths that actually that try to convey that you have to sign in or you have to engage with a security guard to be led into a certain area that is fenced off. And so that's kind of the case with the junkyard here, and this is the first instance that we are seeing this, since there's just no room in the cement factory, and I also didn't want to use that choice in the cement factory. But in a lot of the lots for the port area, there's a lot of security gates. And even in the next upcoming episode in Create a World, I also add in some fake security gates as well, being creative with a shed, but we'll get into that in the next upcoming episode there. But yeah, in conveying in the port area that it is A high security area was very important to me just because it is a form of realism there that I feel is very necessary. Like, you wouldn't ever just drive into a port. You have to go through some sort of security check, especially for an industrial container port of some kind. So there are security checkpoints, and so throughout the port area, I really wanted to express that reality and to show it off in the build. And this is one of those cases here, is getting that security gate clearance for the actual sanitation workers. And then there's also another security gate clearance for the junkyard itself, because the junkyard, again, is something that you need to engage with someone. You can't just go frolicking around in most junkyards anyways. I also ended up adding in a construction trailer here. Now, it's technically a construction trailer, but I really tried to I tried to convey that it's something that you can cause a lot of damage in. If I remember correctly, using the workbench, you can actually blow up or catch on fire. I might be wrong on that one, so you might just have to correct me in the comment section below. But anyways, the reason why I wanted to add in this construction trailer is just to actually give an opportunity for Sims that are living in a lot that is just too small to fit in a workbench that you would play around with scraps in. That is something that I will intend on doing within this within the SimCity build, is really conveying different levels of income, different housing options, and some of those options are going to be smaller apartments or even townhouses or row houses, places where you don't necessarily would have the space to fit in a workbench. And so because I have that in mind, and because I really do want the SimCity world to function for all play styles and all that, I added in this trailer just to provide that opportunity for Sims that just want to create some junk but don't have the monetary means to afford a larger lot to fit it in. So they can just hop in at the junkyard, collect their scrap, work on the inventing skill, just kind of move on from there. This is one of those gameplay elements where I think it departs a little bit from reality, but because it is a gameplay element, it's something that I'm very okay with playing towards. I actually feel like it's something that helps to guide the design a little bit. Another design choice that I'm making within the port area and within the lots is really the lighting and how it looks at night. You'll see it eventually, like when I do add in streetlights, which I think is next episode. I've recorded this far in advance, so I don't know if it's the next episode or the one after, but I do plop in the streetlights, and with this lot in particular, I want those lights to really read as an orange. I find that in industrial areas or in like rundown areas, it seems that orange is the color of the lights that are popping up there. So that's what I really wanted to convey with this lot. And I also wanted to use the different color of lighting to convey different places as well. So the red in this case with this destruction trailer, I suppose, is something that I wanted to convey as like a danger or an alert kind of thing. Like if you're walking into the red zone, you gotta be ready to get blown up, I suppose. You're putting yourself in danger, really. And so that's something that I wanted to convey here. I do also follow a similar structure when it comes to other lots as well. Like when I actually get to the container port build, which is something I'm very excited to show you guys. And it was one of the lots that I actually did complete before Create a World decided not to work on me for the editing game mode. But yeah, the lighting that I used in there really helped convey different zones that workers are actually able to engage with and all that. So yeah, it starts out here, but it's followed through in other lots and lot builds as well. For the general decor within the destruction trailer, I suppose, I did want to include like one of those all-in-one showers that came with Island Paradise, because I really don't think I'm remembering this right, but when you use the workbench, again, I feel like explosions can happen or fires can happen, but when they do, like, what happens? And so that's what those showers are there for. I felt like it was the most appropriate to have like some sort of a wash station that actually functions as such, because I don't necessarily want Sims dying on this lot per se. And I did think that I checked for sprinklers. No, that was for another lot build. Okay, yeah, there are no like ceiling sprinklers, because otherwise I would have used that, or at least I couldn't find any. Again, if you know where those ceiling sprinklers are located, just drop a comment. But yeah, most of the decor in here are using the fast lane and the ambitions things. Those are actually very great expansion packs and stuff packs for the kind of look and feel that I am going for, and I did use quite a bit of it in the criminal warehouse build as well, in the cement shoe factory. So yeah, I'm really leaning into those kind of things when it comes to the actual decor of the lot around it. In retrospect, I might have benefited from making this lot a little larger, just to fit in more actual junkyard parts here. But yeah, there's a broken down car that came with the Roaring Heights world. I highly recommend that world. That is one of the few worlds that I just am an absolute love with. And it came with this broken down car, so I just tossed it in there. You can actually fix it up. Much like the Sims 2 free time, if I remember correctly. So yeah, there's not a whole lot of room here. The bollards are there to stop any cars from going in and going out. And I also put in a bonfire there because I felt like it would be a place where you would find a bonfire. I imagine that they would be burning some junk here. But yeah, the function of this lot really comes to life just in this small area, and with the destruction trailer as well, as opposed to the rest of the build, which is, you know, actually the bulk of it. The actual sewage and water treatment parts of this is not where Sims would actually function in or anything. It would actually be this smaller dirt junkyard that they would ideally like to stay in. Although I did add some spawners around the sewage areas, this was, that's not the main functional focus of this lot. It's actually within this smaller dirt patch that we can see here. At the end of this build, I actually really enjoyed how the sewage and water treatment plant came out as the junkyard, and I'm really excited to actually have it function like a junkyard. Even though like the majority of the lot is technically unfunctional, like I'm still very happy with how it will function once I actually get it in the game. I'm still on the fence about the elevated gangway though, so feel free to leave a comment on whether I should just remove it or if there's a certain adjustment that I missed. I'll get to that comment and I will certainly make that adjustment, but adjust your expectations on when that will happen, because it won't happen for a long time at this point. Since the editing game mode doesn't want to work for me anymore in Create a World. Anyways, I just want to thank you again for watching, and if you'd like to see more episodes and content like this, then feel free to like and subscribe as well. Thank you again, and please enjoy the rest of your day.